right, welcome to the Bryce Eddy Show. Today, my guest, my brother from another mother, Siaka Massaquoi. How are you, sir?
What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. I'm doing well. Sleep is still a struggle. We're still struggling with some sleep every once in a while, but we're hanging in there and we're blessed with these kids. God
Well, when
loves
you
us.
have two little ones, including a brand new one, baby boot camp, man.
Man,
Yeah.
I was still waiting to get out of there, Bryce, when you told me about that. And I jumped right back in. I didn't even give myself too much of a chance. Diapers everywhere, bro.
But
Diapers
see, you
everywhere.
know what the reward is going to be is that they're going to be so close. They're
Yeah.
going to have, they're going to be entertaining and looking out for each other. And so, although right now it's exponentially more work,
Yeah.
in just a few years, it's going to be exponentially better. And it's fun, man. It is.
Dude,
It's cool when they're close.
he's already trying to pick her up. It's like the cutest thing to see where
Yeah.
he's like, okay, and now he's like, and he has this look where he's like,
Yeah.
and he's trying to go. I'm like, oh no, don't kill your sister. So
Yeah.
so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of
It
fun.
is. It is. So I'm happy for you guys, man. It's great. Well,
Thank you,
hey,
thank you.
so let's talk a little bit of Charlie.
Yeah.
Obviously, you
Rest
and
in
I
peace.
both knew him. You've been on his show a few times. I was on a show, I think once. And I kind of forgot about it, but I was in studio with him one time a couple of years ago during some of the height of all of the nonsense that was going on in our community of Thousand Oaks, and
Right.
we were highlighting some of the terrible things that were going on in the school district and talking about some of that stuff at large, and just what's interesting is I had been during that time, and I've been consistent with because we were dealing with this in the school district, that we were that our church was in there, where Godspeak was, but we were dealing with the liberal super left Antifa crowd that believe it or not, there's the Caneo Valley anti-fascists and people like that. It's just an idea, folks, just like World War II people storming the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah, do you remember that?
I don't know if
Do you
you've
remember
seen
that?
yeah.
Like,
I don't know if
it
you've
was
seen those memes around of like, "Oh, my grandfather was Antifa too," and all this sort of stuff.
that was Brian Williams did the voiceover for that montage that said that he said that. Like, that was actually a real thing. That was right before I got raided in 21. It was like they stormed the beaches of Normandy. They were there at the end of the wall falling. They were anti-fascist then, and they're anti-fascist now. I was like, wait, what? It was on NBC. Like, this was like a real thing. It's pretty insane.
Sure. They didn't have blue hair and piercings, and they weren't using
skinny.
fascist tactics to rout out fascism. No, it's absurd.
Right.
Well, that crowd at that time, it was my first real direct exposure to the words are violence people. And there was this fat, ugly woman, I forget her name, that leading the charge in some of the school district stuff. I forget her name. Gosh, I wish I could call her out again because she was such an idiot. But that's what she said to me because I had weighed in regards to some of the transgender nonsense that was going on. They were trying to do all that in the school district, and I was calling them out, and so that's what she said to me. Your words are violence, kind of stuff. And I remember talking to people over the years that that crowd, the words are violence crowd, is going to become violent themselves, and they are going to excuse it as self-defense, because if words are violence, then shooting Charlie Kirk was just a self defense move. And of course, we've seen all of that online right now, people defending the actions of the killer, or saying that it's good that Charlie's dead and celebrating his death and things like that. Now, thankfully, they are overwhelmed online by the people who love Charlie and the people who have woken up since his death and never really knew who he was, just vaguely maybe heard of him, or had heard that he was a racist, homophobe, whatever, blah blah blah. and they started listening to his videos because they're getting
There's
a
a lot of
billion
them.
more views, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And 9 million more subscribers on his channel, and all that stuff, right? So now
wow.
these people are seeing this and waking up and going, hang on a minute, he wasn't a racist. Hang on a minute, he
Yeah,
wasn't all the things that I was told he was. And you're having people in mass move to our side of the aisle, and
right.
a lot of the centrist people, a lot of the people that were kind of, well, there's far right, there's far left,
Yeah,
no
both
problem,
sides.
stuff, are recognizing that this is a battle between good and evil, and
Yeah,
these people on the left and that ideology is evil.
right.
So anyway, I was under the weather leading up to the memorial, so I didn't end up attending.
Mhm.
And I had intense FOMO not attending while I
Yeah, I
watched
know,
the whole
I
thing,
know. Yeah.
because of course it was a who's who of the political world. It was who's who of the Trump administration. I think pretty much the entire cabinet was there. Many
Yep,
spoke.
yep, yep.
But Rob McCoy delivered an amazing sermon, and there was amazing worship music. I mean, I think it started like 8 a.m. and it went to like 5 p.m.
It was
I mean,
a all-day event.
yeah, no, it was incredible. And 300,000 people were in attendance, and I think another 100 or so thousand were estimated to be outside.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Um, so, phenomenal event. Erika Kirk,
Oof.
delivered a absolute tear jerker of a speech, and she's a very strong lady.
Yeah,
I got to know her quite a bit by driving Charlie and her around to events back in the kind of early days of COVID and all of that nonsense, taking them to the churches that were
they
staying
were
open,
open.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and um, you know, got to sit in the green room with her and talk theology and talk different things with her, and she's just as bright and brilliant as Charlie, in
Wow.
a different way,
Right.
and so to see her take over the organization as its chairman and CEO now and take Charlie's place in that, I think is a good move. And I think people don't realize how much uh, TPUSA does behind the scenes.
Mhm,
Although
mhm.
Charlie was TPUSA and TPUSA was Charlie, the groundwork that TPUSA did, the college campus stuff that
Right.
they did, the chapters, the getting people elected to student body president, on down to what they did in this election in
Right.
delivering the vote to Trump, of all the low propensity voters and things. All of that's going to continue on, and this organization will be stronger
Mhm.
and a higher profile in that, even without Charlie. Obviously our hearts are broken, at his loss, but his legacy is going to be just monumental.
I don't know of any historical figure who, after they were taken out, there was such an intense movement. You think, so many people would think, well, MLK, but that was the Civil Rights Act was already passed by the time they, took him out, right? So it didn't boost up that thing anymore. It just the pace and the feel in which people are waking up in this, and I was saying this to my wife, just look at our last 5 years. We've had a global pandemic that people can say was a bat in a wet market, or it could be at the virality of what is the viral lab that was right next to it, right? You had the election that was extremely questionable. You had January 6th go down. You had the summer of love happen and everyone turned a blind eye in the media. You had Trump get lawfare shot at, won the election, Sixers pardoned, tariffs dropped, then they take out Charlie. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's all in 5 years. And people were already, there's a few points that I mentioned there that people already started kind of waking people up, waking
Yep.
people up, waking people up. And there was still a whole swath that didn't get it until after they saw what happened to
Yeah.
Charlie. And that, and then the other side too, I think of the FOMO was, yes, it was a who's who, but much like going to America Fest, brother, I think we also miss, like, it's like America Fest is always like a camp reunion. right? And so you knew that the people at the memorial were like the people you'd be like, "Yo, what's up?" And you hang out with, and he's sit and watch in the back of the VIP area, and like there's music playing with a little order. It's like you knew that people were there. I remember I saw Kelly, Rob's daughter, and her husband, and I'm just like, I want to give him a hug. I think that was the other thing because I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it all. I watched clips, and Charlotte said in it that she's like, I'm sitting here, I'm going through. We watched Pastor Rob, and I couldn't sit in it because how I was describing it to her, it's like something so heavy like that, unless you're like close to it, it's harder for me to be a distance away and still like taking on that weight in that way, especially because every time I saw Charlie's face, of course, I'd see the image and the sadness would kick in. So it was already happening. And then to sit there from a distance where I want to hug Pastor Rob at that moment. I want to, look over and chat with some of the people. And like, I want to stand up and sing gratitude with Brandon Lake and all those guys there. I'm like, you know what? Let's just let that do its thing. And I'm going to enjoy my time with Xavier and do all that stuff. Cause I wanted to just hold some of these people, and then
Yeah, I get that.
you weren't able to. It would have. I don't know. It felt like I could watch the speeches later, and I was watching like bits and pieces, but it was so violent, bro, and it was so just angry and so hateful towards what we believe, and we've even talked about it on here together, but we knew that they were violent. We've known people, we've read about people that they've killed and done all this, but the way that went down was so, we don't care. You guys are the bad guys, period. There's no question, there's no conversation. And
Right.
we're going to show you by taking out the one guy who was, like I said the other day, I don't know if I remember seeing a picture of him ever holding a gun as supportive as he was. Like,
Yeah, well,
like,
I did post, I took him, to Terran Tactical,
oh yeah.
to meet Joe Rogan, and took him shooting there that day, and, it was the first time, Charlie was a hunter, and we went on pheasant hunts,
Oh
and
wow.
different things together, but he had not really been a pistol guy,
Hmm.
and I think it was his first time shooting a pistol, certainly shooting, like in a tactical format,
Right.
and so he got a quick lesson from Taryn, and got to run through their course, the same one that you see Keanu Reeves and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff doing, and when he's prepping for John Wick, and all
Wow.
the stars go to that place. And so anyway, I brought him out, introduced him to Joe Rogan, and they took a picture, and Charlie posted Ivermectin boys. I had
Yeah, that
heard,
was okay. That was the years ago.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I heard I haven't watched the episode, but Joe had Charlie Sheen on
Yeah.
his show the other day, and that was when they heard live
Yeah.
on while they were recording that Charlie got shot, and he said, yeah, hey, yeah, wow, I only met him once. At least that's what somebody told me, and so it was that meeting that I had set up between the two of them.
Wow.
And
Isn't that
I
crazy?
know right now Joe is regretting not having him on the show, but
Ooh.
I know that Joe had been resistant to it for so long, because he was getting labeled so hardcore at that time as
Mhm.
being a conservative. And Joe's like, I've been a liberal my whole life. My parents were hippies. I believe in
Yeah.
this, and he's going through this,
Yeah.
and he's like, how am I getting labeled as a conservative? Well, it's because the Overton window shifted so much that,
Yeah.
I mean, guys like Joe would have been considered, so liberal throughout all of our history, and the left has sort of left all these people behind, pun
Yeah.
intended.
Yep.
Um and and now, it really is a battle between good and evil. I have said many, many times on X and other social media, and I get really really angry responses back, but that the Democrat Party platform is entirely incongruent with the Christian faith.
Yeah, completely.
And it I went on a show the other day and I really liked it. This guy who is he's a theologian, but he's more on the liberal left wing bit. And he and I had a great time talking. The show is called Give and Take, and people can check out. I think we're going to post that episode on this channel as well. But we had a really nice dialogue back and forth, and we talked about Charlie and all these things. And I was a last minute guest for this guy, and my team set it up with him, and we had a really good conversation. And this guy, is what I would consider a normal liberal, and not the far left that has owned this party now. But I did say that to him, and we're going to have a follow-up episode, and we're going to talk through what I mean by it.
Oh, okay. So
and we're going to debate it a little. But I kind of threw that at him as a grenade.
You threw the grenade and then took off.
And he's like, we're gonna have to do that. But it was a great. I mean, the guy and I, will become friends. I mean, because he's genuine and he was willing to talk things through, and he was asking questions like, how do we, bring this divide closer? And my response was, well, by having these kinds of conversations,
right.
Because right now what it is the party on the left, is a party who uses projection, right? And so all of the, evil that is in their hearts, they're projecting onto us. They are the violent ones, and they're calling us the violent ones. They are the ones that are racist, and they're calling us racists. And it's in their policies. It's all there. What's funny is, it's there for anyone to look at and grasp and understand. But so many people are caught up in the traditional view of what the Democrat Party was in the past. Oh, hey, we're for the little guy. They're not anymore. They're for the wealthy elites. Why do you think all the big tech titans and most of the very wealthy billionaires vote for them? It's because of what they're doing. They are the central planners, they're the ones. So it's going to be interesting.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Well, so I actually, I was out of town, and I was shooting the second season of California's Moved to Texas with the Babylon Bee. Shameless plug, but it was our last day of shooting, and 10 minutes before lunch, before 12:30, that's when we got a friend of mine, former military guy, sweet guy. But one of some of the former military where it's like things are settled down, but as soon as you start rattling a little too much, you may have to have a 7-hour phone call just to be like, hey, we just chill out. And he texts me, he goes, they shot Charlie. I want to kill all leftists. I was like, uh-oh. And I talked to him when we eased everything down a little bit, and then it starts the word spreading on set. And let's just say it's really hard to do a comedy when you just hear news like that.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful because we ended up, Kyle Mann we had a guitar on set. He's playing a guitar, and he starts playing How Great Thou Art.
Wow.
And Jarrett LeMaster, who plays Woke Jesus, and saying he starts singing. A couple other guys start singing. So we ended up singing this song.
Beautiful.
Right at that moment. Like it just kind of, you can tell, like, because everyone had so many different emotions. People wanted to scream and yell, and people were crying, all this stuff. And just to play this music at that moment was just next level. Anyway, that happens. We were able to get through the work day and still kind of hold on. But when I get back, my wife's mom was in town, and we ended up having like a huge blow up about leading into this. And then something that hit me, and it came more as we were having this blow up, is that, as your friend was like, well, how do we get to the middle? Yes, it's having a conversation, but I think one of the most important things, it's like they have to start checking their own side.
Oh yeah.
And I said this to her, I go, because you guys won't listen to when we say it's a problem. You won't. Like, and she kind of had to concede to that. I'm like, so firebombing Teslas, like burning cities down, for no matter how angry people are, like that can't be good. And it's not going to be on us because you don't listen to us. You already think we're the bad guys. So, you saying, because she asked, when are you coming to middle? I go, because I know where you guys lead.
Yeah.
Right now, it leads towards death and destruction because I'm not watching anyone over there go, yo, stop this. You think to kill your opponents is bad? We need to, they're not Nazis, maybe stop that. That's it. They're not Nazis. They're not the worst people in the world. We don't agree with them politically, and we want our way of life to move politically, but that doesn't mean kill that. Like, we haven't seen or heard anything from multiple people on the left. In fact, we still hear people. Keith Olbermann just got referred to the FBI by threatening Scott Jennings that he was next. Like, a guy shot up ABC for not even firing Jimmy Kimmel for such an egregious lie, but for suspending him for a week. It hasn't stopped, and it's only on one side, and yet they won't police themselves. So as for me, we can never come to a middle until they start checking their side, because it will come off as false and a lie to me if I'm trying to have the conversation and someone's trying to get us to come to the middle, when I know, yes, but you will always then go all the way to the end, because you're not telling me that that end is something that should be stopped on your side. So to me, heading towards you, to me, head towards the end of violence. So I'm good over here. I'm good.
Yeah.
I personally don't see a middle that you can get to, because like you said, it's good and evil. And as of today, there's one side that has been holding up criminals that beat up, rob, kill people, that cheer death, that wants the destruction of babies in the womb. Like, there's only one side that supports that. So what middle is that of that? Like,
Well, that's a great question. I mean, how do we, if you believe that life is sacred, right?
right,
If you believe that criminal justice is important and all these sort of things, there is no compromise available on those sort of things, right?
right,
Um,
right.
and by the way, they don't want to compromise, and the
No,
reason that they'll accuse us, right, of some of that stuff. But we'll when I'm debating, let's say, a pro-choice or pro-abortion person, I'll say, because they'll always bring up things like, well, what about rape and incest? And of course, they're attacking Charlie based on his statement that he wouldn't abort the result of a rape for his own
her
child,
daughter.
right?
Yeah.
And that's an incredibly consistent position that we take, right? Because you don't do two crimes, you
Right,
don't do two evil acts, and another evil act doesn't erase the first evil act, and that's why Charlie could confidently say that.
right,
But the left, when you're arguing with them about pro abortion stance, and they're like, well, what about rape or incest? I'll always say, okay, what if we could compromise on that? And of course I'm not willing to, but I would ask that question of them, and every single time they're
yeah,
like, well, no, that's not blah, blah, blah. I go,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, let's have it eliminated for the 99% of other abortions, and we'll just leave it open for that. Would you be willing to do that? And of course they're not, because that's
Right.
not what it's about for them. It's not about
No,
rape and incest. It's about murdering babies.
it's
And
about total control.
yeah, and in the case of some people, I mean, it's truly still eliminating mostly black babies. I mean, how evil is
I
that?
mean, let's talk
you know
about it. Like, it's about where the core of the belief system, right? If the
yeah.
core belief system is proven to be inherently evil, I don't care how much how much lipstick you put on that pig, it's still a pig, right? That's the difference in Christianity and almost every other religion out there. Is like, what's the core of it? Like, what are we talking about here on the basis of it? And I wanted to touch on this real quick before we move on. Is like, and my mom even said this, who's not a practicing, we've talked about her,
hmm
when Erika Kirk, oh man, when she forgave that young man for doing what he did, and you could see her earthly person didn't want to do it. And she even looked up to the sky like, help me,
hmm
and got out to the statement of forgiveness. My mom wrote, that's a true Christian right there. And
hmm
it hit me. I'm like, man, could I do that if someone took my loved one. I don't. I want to say I
Yeah.
got the hat. I want to. I got the cross over there. I believe I'm wearing the God shirt. I want to. But like to have that happen, not in a random thing that you didn't see, but right in front of you with your children right there. And then they hear the stuff that's said about him afterwards in a negative light, and then turn around and go, I forgive him. Did so much more for Christianity than I think any, street preacher,
Yeah.
debate, apologetics debate that we've seen in a long time. Both
Yeah.
Charlie's death and her forgiveness. And that's just a testament to the faith. And it's like that's the foundation, the core of the faith is that forgiveness that people don't understand, even us Christians at times, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, for
it,
sure.
it was so painful. So thank God for her. Shout out to her. Great stuff. That was
Yeah,
just
no,
awesome.
no, it was amazing, and I mean, gosh, Turning Point knows how to put on events,
Yeah, yes, they do.
and I say that because I'm grateful that all of the work that they've done over the years, putting on America Fest and putting on the event after event and all that stuff, they all kind of put that work and love into Charlie's memorial,
Yeah,
and it
like
was,
everything that they've learned over those
yeah, yeah, and
years.
it's beautiful. It was
Yeah,
beautiful. I mean,
you know,
that was a labor of love and, honoring Charlie in that way for, those teams that, worked so hard to put all that stuff together for him. And it was truly a beautiful event.
well, I shared this with some friends around here, and I go, a lot of people may or may not know, and if they go back and watch our episode, maybe 2 years ago, one of our episodes, and they listened because I remember I was talking about I had that critique about like how they can make it more flashy, like they should need to be a little more poppy. And then the
Mhm.
next year they had the fireworks and the singers, and I was like, oh, they did it. And you're like, yeah, they listened. And so you just, man, it's again all these things that they don't have to. They hit a point where if and we've seen this from other organizations where it's like this is how we do things. Get away from us, we're fine. It's like the fact that even if it wasn't just me, if there was a few other people saying that, it's like they took a second to go, how can we make this better? Even though everyone shows up every year, even though people want to be here every year, even though people are willing to pay all this money to be here to go, we still got to make it better. We
Mhm.
heard maybe a little no here. Great. Let's infuse that into it's like they were just they are, I should say, because they're not done. They're getting bigger, but it's just that humility is part of what makes Turning Point as special as what it is, and that comes from the core of the man that put it together, to Charlie Kirk, and
Yeah.
he will not
Amen.
be forgotten. He
Amen.
would not
Yeah,
be
no,
forgotten.
he was an incredible visionary and leader and knew how to surround himself with incredibly hardworking and talented people. And yeah, and TPUSA is certainly not done.
No,
And
no.
I think that is yeah, like
Even if they
or
wanted
Ms.
to be.
Lacey, yeah, we'll carry on, and those people will carry on the mission.
Are you
But
going to American Fest this year? Are you gonna
um,
go?
I think so. I'm in kind of a hyper business mode right now,
Fair enough.
with a lot of projects and things that I've got going on, both here locally and with my new gig and some other stuff that I've got going on. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna see, but I'm gonna try to.
Okay.
Um, the Yeah, I mean, I haven't missed any of them, so I don't want to miss this one.
I mean, this
But
one's gonna be like,
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be so different,
yeah.
without Charlie. It's gonna be interesting to see exactly what they do, but yeah, it is an incredible event, and I encourage people to, if you can go, to definitely go. So, hey, shifting gears, man, I wanted
Yes.
to hit, breaking news story. Moments before we began recording here, Ryan Routh, who is the would-be Donald Trump assassination, the guy that kind of did a little, um, uh, you know, military style setup, to try to shoot Donald Trump on his golf course.
Mhm.
Um, just got convicted on all counts by a jury in Florida where he was tried. And apparently he tried to like stab himself with a pencil right afterwards.
Whoa.
So he didn't take it well, I guess. Um, yeah, and but anyway, found guilty on all counts, and yeah, it went kind of descended into complete chaos in the courtroom.
Really?
Um, yeah, yeah, this is the guy that kind of camped out on the golf course, waiting for Trump to roll through. And then the Secret Service caught him and engaged him, and good riddance for this guy. So
Wow.
yeah, but his charges were attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate, assaulting a federal officer, possession of a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition, possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. So
Ooh.
anyway, that him and all of these would-be assassins and all these people have been directly ginned up by the media and
Right.
directly ginned up by the left-wing narrative that runs around, saying that literally we're all Nazis and we're all racists and we're all of that. And the people like Mehdi Hassan and some of these guys that are out there, all over right now, they
Mm.
are the ones that are responsible for this.
Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny Cenk Uyghur, who's trying to
Yep.
run to the middle,
Right.
since his
Right.
popularity, kind of dove a little bit with the Young Turks. I mean, all of these folks, are responsible for the conditions of our
Yep.
society now, and they are directly responsible for creating an atmosphere that led to Charlie's death and led to these assassins and all this stuff. So, good riddance to this guy. I would not have been sorry had he actually killed himself with a pencil. But
So he really tried to kill himself with a pencil?
that's what I'm reading in the breaking news story. Um, yeah, so he, yeah, I mean, and there were some suspicious things about him, and of course the conspiracy theorists out there have been, working full time on all of these conspiracies, which can lead us into this next thing, which is
Yeah.
Candace Owens, who got her start at TPUSA, and
Yep.
Candace, I'm I'm not a huge fan of, and I've been critical of her, recently on this show. I
Right.
kept my mouth shut for a long time because I don't think it serves us to be, have any kind of
Gossipy.
infighting. But this woman is off the reservation, and
Right.
she has gone so deep into conspiracy, world. I mean, you know, she's in trouble with France, because she's been going on the Macron's wife is a dude kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
some of these things are funny, right? Some of these things are jokes. Some of these things are, things that we can, harp on, and that at some point though, Candace just lost the plot.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed in her, and I do believe that she's an opportunist and has parlayed one good thing into the next, but kind of burned bridges on her way out of most places.
Right.
Charlie was always very respectful, and had her at events until she kind of went way weird. But he continued to speak highly of her,
Right.
until he just stopped speaking of her at all,
Right. Right.
which was a sign, because Charlie's not gonna say
Badmouth
bad
somebody.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
That's not
not
who
who
he
he
is.
was. Prager U, same thing. She parlayed her success into a job there, um, and then I think they have been consistently not talking bad about her, but she burned bridges everywhere. And I think that her popularity just got to a point because she continued to do that. Obviously the Daily Wire one was very, very
Public.
public.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but I think she's nutty. I mean, So yeah, because now, I mean, she's breaking all of this conspiracy stuff about Charlie, and
Right.
making a lot of this stuff about her, and everything is the Jews' fault, and she's again, you can be critical of Israel, you can be critical of Jewish people, you can have an issue with Hollywood, and some of the sleaze that gets peddled by people of Jewish ethnicity. It does not mean that it's all Jews, and you can
Yeah.
stay very far away from being anti-Semitic, and you can,
Right.
and but it's such a weird world that we're in right now, that has become such a popular thing amongst this like narrow slice of the um you know
The right.
people running around on the right out there. Yeah, it's just weird.
Well, so a friend of ours said to me last year at the PragerU gala after it was over, he's like, be careful and be aware of the woke right.
Yeah.
And I had never heard that before. And I was like, part of me was like, well, how can that actually happen with with conservative values if you're, if Christ is leading first, right? Naively, I thought that. And as the last year has gone on, it's very clear that it's a real thing. Um, it's very clear that there are people out there that and they've used specifically the the Israel, whether you're referring to Mossad doing this, that, or the other, as like their testing ground to if you are a true believer or not. I'm starting to see that in different comments and different things. It must be this, and if you disagree now, that you must be paid by them too, which is the same move that the left does, where it's like, well, it's racism. No, I don't think it is. Well, you must be a white supremacist. Like you shut down by using these say foundationally weak uh, uh, testing grounds, if you will, and that's what seemed to be happening over there. Now with Candace, and there's things that we've talked about before offline, and to watch what she's doing now, I think you're 100% right about the opportunist angle, um, but you kind of see what it's all about. And Charlie said this in one of his like words of wisdom: give someone money, you'll see who they are.
Yeah.
And we've seen the popularity and the money go up. We've seen this person become less and less the darling that everyone thought she was, maybe back in 2016. I question I question the use of Christianity as what I see as a shield, because it's the use of Christianity then seems to only criticize Jews and specifically Israel, while at the same time completely quiet about atrocities like the beheading of Christians in Nigeria, the beheading and murder of Christians in Syria and all over the Middle East, and yet surprisingly quiet about the death and murder of the people of the faith you claim to follow. But you're quick to assign a conspiracy of all of Israel for the death of Charlie Kirk, even though the person was sleeping with a trans person. So it makes me wonder, right? Like, what are you really doing this for? Because it seems like, if anything, you're refusing to criticize the most demonic religion on the planet, which is Islam,
Yeah.
but you're quick to jump on the foundation of the faith you say you follow,
Yeah.
of the
Yeah. No,
people like,
I have a problem with it because of that
right.
too. I mean, it's like everything comes up Jews with her, and that's just not. Um, yeah.
Jews.
Yeah, I mean, and it's absurd. Now,
Yeah.
look, there are things, and I'm reluctant right now to hit some of the things that are um, very questionable about this particular shooter and this assassination. And there are some things and some evidence that suggests a larger plot. There are things that, and me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I am a conspiracy identifier. And so when we do have things to identify, I
Right.
will. And there's a lot of developing things in regards to this. I have friends within the intelligence community that I'm talking to about some of the uncomfortable evidence and that suggests that there might be a larger plot here. And I'm
Most
and I'm okay
definitely.
and I'm okay with saying that. But literally, no matter what happens on this earth, people like Candace Owens or now Ian Carroll, who I do consider a friend, everything comes up Jews.
Yeah.
Everything is reflexively, that's the story that they go to right away. And again, they don't at the same time attack Hamas with the same kind of vigor. They don't
Nope.
attack other great evil that is in this world. They certainly aren't talking about Islam and other things that are behind many destructive and evil things right now.
Right.
So when you're not evenly criticizing people who are worthy of criticizing, and you are singling out a small people's group, come on, that's anti-Semitism.
It is too. Again, I still go back to you use the faith as part of the cover.
Yeah.
And if she was not doing that, I'd be like, all right, it's a problem. You only go to Jews, but you're also kind of using Christianity to go. You see, look, they do to me just like they did to Christ, or just like they do to Christians. When we start to speak up, I'm like, okay, like they're killing Christians right now, and I'm like, you have a huge platform. Let's hear
Yeah,
it.
why aren't we talking about that too?
They're killing Black Christians at that. Well, no, I thought it was all about uplifting Black folks too for her. And it's like, there's nothing. I just it hits a point, and I think the downfall is going to be huge. I'm seeing so many different videos coming up, people talking about her like that, but the downfall is going to be big and embarrassing because. And I saw when she made the first statement afterwards, and after Charlie was killed, and I'm watching it, and I always watch it from a performer standpoint to see if whether the person means it or not is different than if they can convey truth about it or not, right? And she did a thing. I've never seen her get emotional, like really like heavy emotional. And she did a thing where she was like, my friend Charlie, and she the way she kind of paused herself, like she was trying to hold it back. It was, I mean, and it's just me again, and no one. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
you are an
saying
actor, and sometimes you can recognize a fellow member of the craft.
Yeah, especially doing it badly. And I was like, that's your friend, and then she went right back to, and I was like, yo, well, where's the compassion?
It's sad because she is a great talent. There are very few Black female voices in the conservative space that can communicate like her. She's very charismatic. I mean, I got to meet her, when she was recording a show. I took my family to meet her. She was doing a podcast at PragerU Studios with Jocko Willink, and so it was a fun twofer. I got to meet Jocko, which he and I started jiu-jitsu on the same month, same year, and been a great admirer of his, and so I got to meet him, say hello to him, and then meet Candace in person, and and she was engaging and very charismatic and beautiful, and all those things, and she had tremendous talent, but I think she's throwing it away by chasing the algorithm that is rewarding right now, rewarding her for making it all about the Jews. And there's certain people that are doing that. It's being reinforced for whatever reason.
Now, have you heard of, I kind of heard this in passing. I want to see what your thoughts. Have you heard of like specific sects in Catholicism that are very anti-Semitic? Have you heard about this at all?
I know that some of that exists. The Catholic Church is a big organization.
Yeah, huge.
That's why they can hide pedophiles and
just shuffle them around, man.
shuffle them around, or it's why
part.
the Jesuits are half of them are gay. All my Catholic friends are going to be so mad at me for saying that, but they told me.
I know, so don't get mad at me.
I sat around
delivering the mail,
smoking some cigars with some hardcore Catholics, and they were like, "Yeah, that's where all the gay guys go." They used to be the special forces of mission work, and then now they're just gay.
Now they're just gay.
But
he's like, I'm just delivering the mail, man. Don't get mad at me.
Yeah, I'm gonna get hate mail from
that's not
Catholics now.
Say I do not allegedly, and I do not believe this personally. All my views are not mine; they're somebody else's.
I love my hardcore Catholics. So.
Well, let's say this though, on real quick on the Candace thing. As frustrating as it can be, I think we can follow suit of what Erika and everyone at TP Faith have been doing, and let's pray for her.
Yeah.
That she gets clarity, and that's, I think, the best we can do, because it's one of those, I don't think you can say nothing to her. So good luck.
Yeah. No, and brother, thanks for that reminder too. Because I do have a heart for people who are misled, especially people who have such great talent and have a voice. Because you can, with great, talent, great power comes great responsibility. And some of the stuff that's being said out there is leading people down a dark and evil path. And I don't want to see that continue. I don't want to see people descend into this madness of anti-Semitism. It's super destructive, because there's real evil in the world. Right. And it's not assigned only to Jews. I mean, let's
be honest. Like,
let's deal with the evil that is all over the place. Let's not attribute it to one particular group of people and fall into the trap of the actual Nazis.
Right.
Hello.
I know they're trying hard. And Nick Fuentes and those guys, they're trying hard. They're pushing, and
it's interesting. Right, I'm listening to it. Just started listening to it today, but Patrick Bet-David had Nick Fuentes on.
I saw that.
And I have a great respect for PVD and that entire crew, and I like that he will do that, and I like that he will have people, and he's not beholden to any advertisers, so he doesn't have to ever be afraid of having very controversial figures. And I think I just started listening to it, and Nick Fuentes is a fascinating character.
Yeah.
He's said some really powerful things I have heard, over time. And he said some very true things, mixed in with some very, very awful things. I think that exposing, someone to the world is better than suppressing it, or, remember the left has this idea that, don't platform people. But yet platforming people is how you expose good ideas and bad ideas.
To your point, that's how remember the Billy Carson and Wes Huff situation that happened, where that's actually how it happened with PBD. Had him on his had Billy on his show promoting that crazy book. Yeah. And then that got Wes's attention, and he connected with the other guy, and they did that debate. So to your point,
and embarrassed him. It was the most horrific throttling I have ever seen of a person. I mean, it pretty much ended the guy.
Yeah, it was kind too. It was very sweet. It was like, oh, what's manuscript? Hold on.
Yeah.
You mean this one? I did it myself.
Yeah. No, it was he was brilliant, and and for those of you that haven't seen it, I think listening to it is really incredible. Their debate is it's like a 900-pound gladiator beating up a child, though. It's so bad.
He was like, okay, I'll give it to you. What about, let's go on to this.
Well, that guy was he was a weaponized con man, really. He had a voice out there, but he's conning people, pretending like he had knowledge that he did not have, and pulling, really obscure, ignorant things out there, and acting like he had some special knowledge.
Well, and when you say it together, you're like, do you know about the ancient Inakis over in East Peru that used to have? And you're like, oh, I didn't. It sounds. I just made all that up right now. But
Yeah.
you can say it, and you say it together in words that people sound ancient. And did you hear it? Well, they actually had a thing, but that predated Christianity. I'm like, and real quick to the whole predated Christianity. Just because it predated it does not mean it was actually good. Like, I don't understand why people go, well, it came before. Okay, it was still crappy. They were still killing babies. Still, what, do you want to go back to? Like, what are we talking about here? Is it good or is it not good? I'm sorry.
That's
a
right.
whole nother rant.
No, that's fair. Yeah, exactly. There's no credence just because something predates something else,
Like, what? There's just one got identified a little later because that was the plan, but one was very clearly pretty, like when you're cutting out hearts to a sun god consistently, whether predated or not, I may not want to be a part of that kind of faith, like let's move on from that. Jeez.
So last thing I wanted to hit a little bit was, we're having some traction with Maha right now. And Donald Trump has declared that he, wants to get to the true source of autism, autism rates, and not just because we identify it a little bit better, because there's some of that argument out there is, there's just as many before. We're just better at classifying it. Remember that weird kid you grew up with? He had autism.
That was autism.
Didn't know it at the time, right? And of course there is, varying degrees of things, you want to call on the spectrum. And there's, highly functioning and there's very low functioning, but something changed in the world. And we can tell about when that date was, where all of a sudden the rates of really bad autism exploded. There were some things that were different in the world at that time, and we can identify some of those material changes. One of which is the mass delivery of vaccines. The vaccine schedule. Remember when when I was a kid, man, it was like we got
6,
or
6 or 7. Yeah.
I mean, it was a small number, and then it's gone upwards of, I think it's 76 or 78. Something.
It's
like
pretty
that.
wild. Like it's a California. I think it's like 100 and something.
Yeah, and then they're possibly tracing some real unhealthy drugs that moms take, or even things like acetaminophen. And it's funny, dude. I'm gonna make a black joke, and I hope you'll forgive me.
Are you? Hold on. Do I need to buckle up first?
No,
You warned it. I was like, all right.
Let's see. There is a I think it's Brooklyn Dad or one of those guys online who was mocking Trump for not saying acetaminophen correctly in his presser. And I wanted to make the most terrible racist post right back at him and say, and go, hey, can you say ask for me? And then I thought, oh, probably can't.
Just did you see it in the comments though? I'm sure somebody else thought about
it. Sometimes I scroll down because I think I've got something really edgy and terrible that I want to say, and then I'll scroll down and somebody already said it
like 4 times. You're like,
yeah.
But I thought it was funny to me. I thought it was funny to me.
But anyway, I want to get back to where we can make fun of each other again, man.
That's
a better time.
But that's how you got along, and you knew who your friends really were. That he didn't care. He could talk crap about you.
Exactly.
Can I share with you this? So the American Association of People with Disabilities, AAPD, with Trump made the announcement about Tylenol and all that good stuff, right? So they posted Tylenol doesn't cause autism, and autism doesn't need to be cured. Wow. These people just.
Yeah, tell that to. I've had some friends with horribly autistic kids that are non-functioning. Tell that to them. Tell that that's a good thing to have something, or have a non-verbal kid after you give them a bunch of vaccines, which there's been, so many of those stories. And and I'm not saying that we know for a fact on that stuff, but we should find out. I mean,
why would we not want to?
Why don't we put muscle into and government resources into something that we can actually identify potentially the cure of? You know,
Well,
I mean, we're doing so much nonsense out there. Let's
y-
put some money into something good.
it goes back to what Trump said at his first pseudo State of the Union. I could find the cure for the deadliest disease, and they still wouldn't applaud. I saw a meme that says, like, if Trump said that air is good for you, people would suffocate themselves on the
Yeah,
left, right? And I don't know, man, but like,
it's probably true.
I mean, that's where I'm going. I kind of feel like if Trump just keeps going towards, like, with this Maha movement and more healthy, I think it's going to force a lot on the left to like speed up their death train. Like it's why would you say, like, get mad at someone for saying, hey, I think Tylenol does this stuff, and you're like, there's no Tylenol doesn't, there's autism, keep it like that, keep shooting yourself up, we don't need to question this at all, you're a bad person, we're not going to even look at it, we're not even going to try. Like, if you could say, seed oils are terrible for you, they're going to like start drinking it as part of their morning routine. You're like, what we may just weed them out and have everyone else just have a bunch of babies, because these people seem like they're not even trying to like think clearly, and they will jump off a bridge because Trump said jumping off a bridge is bad for your health. They're like, oh no, it's not, I'm gonna show you. And then we may lose a lot.
Yeah, no, that's who these people are. I mean, Trump derangement syndrome, and again, I mean, Brooklyn Dad and guys like that are paid
Yeah,
agitators by the Democrat Party, and so I mean, they're just silly and really have no credibility. I mean, they're literally paid, like the Krasenstein brothers and all that
right,
stuff. It's just being reply boys and just being guys that are elevating the terrible discourse instead of the good discourse,
right.
and I don't believe most of them even have their own principled positions. I mean, the
No, just
Krasenstein
money.
brothers, it's just money, and those
Right.
guys are prolific, tweeting constantly all day long, and just getting paid to do it, and all they're going to do is do things that are rewarded by the algorithm, and
Yeah.
that's it.
I think there's a special place for those secular Jews that choose to push stuff like this out there, where it's like heretically, like, you're born into it. You're born into the knowledge of truth, and you go out and then you decide to take the dollar and perpetuate the idea that people on one whole side are Nazis, fascists, everything they say are lying. Like, there, to me, is a special place. Like, if you didn't know anything, you're going on just one thing. But if you grew up, you're in a Jewish family where they're very traditional, they hold on to the values for a reason. It's, the law of Moses, and you still decide to go out there and do this. It is, yeah, there's got to be a special thing ready for them at the end of the day, because that is just like, I fail to understand, being given the keys to the kingdom like that, and then you go out there in the world and platform the level of deception we've seen over the last 5 years. Like, that is just, it's one thing to be like, I support this side, it's one thing, but it's other thing to be like, no, these people are this.
Yeah,
When
or
you
I mean, I
don't.
understand the advocating for policies, right? Which
Yes,
is
yeah,
which is largely what the right is busy doing,
right.
largely, right? And we've got our own agitators, and we've got our own algorithm prostitutes, but we have a we generally have principles. I saw something, that someone posted on Charlie. Charlie was just a grifter. He was a Democrat. He was a liberal. And I'm like, wait a second. He started, and they showed, like, 2011 to whatever. It's like, wait a second. That's when he started TPUSA, you
Yeah.
knucklehead. The year before that, he was 17. They were like in
Playing basketball in high school.
2011, he was, yeah, you can't. I mean, when a kid's in high school, I mean, if Charlie had, and to my personal knowledge of him, formed from our friendship and from listening to him, all these years and being an early adopter of his, he was always political, but he was always, always on the right,
Right.
or libertarian leaning of
Yeah.
things.
I mean,
Um,
he loved Rush Limbaugh.
yeah,
That was like one of his heroes.
yeah, but these guys say that because, remember, it's projection. That's who they are. So
Mhm.
they're acting as if, well, Charlie he's just going where the money is.
Right, right,
And
right.
no, he was a principled character who
Yeah.
had principled beliefs. Um and you know, um,
It's the same thing they say when they go, "Well, your Lord and Savior Donald Trump." It's like, what? No, you guys worship the leaders of your party. We
yeah,
don't worship the leaders of our. We love and enjoy them, but we don't worship. Like
yep,
when Trump was pushing the vaccine, there's so many of us that were like, "Yo, dude, what are you talking about, man? Like this is not cool."
yeah.
Right? Like when it's like even some people with the Epstein stuff, it's
Oh
they don't
yeah, no, I mean
understand the worship.
no, if
We don't
something
worship him.
goes against our principles, including Donald Trump, and yeah, we did see that with the temperature rising on the Epstein files and
Right?
on the jab, and I
Yeah.
mean, there was a lot of real frustration, with some of his positions on some of those things, and
Hmm.
we are a principled group, and we are going to talk about those principles, and we aren't going to waver from them. We might given new evidence, given a broader look, at things, maybe our positions can change as we grow more educated or we get new evidence,
Right.
but that the left will say otherwise, of course, because that's who they are. They will
Yes,
not.
yes, yes. There you go.
It's for them, it's all about projection. But hey, man, any last words? I know we went
Uh,
long today,
well, you know
but
what? The
love you.
best. I love you too. I mean, this was great. We hit an hour. We haven't done hours in a while, but I think what I want to share is everyone out there, get in your Bible, learn your word, make your word a part of you, so that the mission that Charlie was on, which was spreading the gospels, he used political theater in order to do that. If you're a teacher, if you're a jujitsu teacher, if you work at you're a bus driver, if you don't know the word, how can you really share it? So
Yeah.
please learn your word, guys.
Amen. 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 Well, hey, on that note, to God be the glory, and we are out. Hey, thank you for watching or listening to this show. If you are someone who listens to us on the podcast apps, please go to our Rumble channel. Even if you're not going to watch us there, we'd appreciate you hitting subscribe. We want to boost those numbers up and make sure that channel continues to grow. But again, thank you so much for listening to us.